Mr. Williams, where did you work in 2006?
Kimberly.
And at the time of your employment, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with Linda Stermer?
Yes, I did.
And how did you come in contact with her at work?
Co-worker.
You were co-workers? And do you recall when she started there?
No, I do not.
And then do you know when you started there?
Yeah, in 2003.
In 2003. And can you tell me then what was your involvement with Ms. Stermer when she started working there?
None.
None? And at some point, did that change?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury kind of what changed?
Well, normally I was a truck driver, and excuse me, when I was not driving truck, I worked in the shop, and we just happened to work side by side one day.
And what happened? Did you start a conversation?
Yes, in general, just about small talk.
And then how did that proceed?
Well, she kind of was telling me her situation about marriage, and
I'm going to stop you. You said she was talking about her situation with marriage.
yes,
What was she saying?
I can't exactly say, but it was on the line of her marriage wasn't working and she was getting a divorce.
So she was telling you her marriage wasn't working and she was getting a divorce.
Yes,
So did you talk a lot that day?
not a lot.
And then when would be the next time you'd start talking?
Well, when I left, when we parted that day, we were kind of interested in each other, but I found out she was married, and I told her that if she's single, if I'm single and she got a divorce, maybe we could do something, and I left it at that.
And then did you hear from her after that?
Yes, because a coworker gave her my phone number without my permission.
A coworker gave your phone number to Ms. Stermer without your permission?
Yes,
Did he tell you he did?
after the fact,
And then what happened?
she just started blowing up my phone
So she started blowing up your phone?
and stalking me.
And when you say she was stalking, what do you mean?
Well, I got out of work one day and stopped at the grocery store, and she was there in the parking lot.
At the grocery store?
Yes,
And did you talk to her at the grocery store?
briefly.
Do you remember what you said in the grocery store?
No, I do not.
And when she would call, would you answer the phone?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you have conversations?
yes.
What kind of conversations were you having at that time?
I can't really say, but it was kind of shocking. I was dumbfounded. Like, why are you calling me? You know, what is your purpose? Kind of conversation.
Well, were you in? But you had stated previously that you were interested and she was interested.
When I first seen her, I didn't know anything about her, just for visually, not personally, you know.
So you had a physical attraction.
Right.
And so then, as you started talking, did you ever meet then outside of work?
Yes.
And then how long did that take?
It went on a couple months before we did.
Do you know what year that was?
06?
06? And so after you had been talking for a while, after you'd seen her at work, can you tell me then what activities you guys started doing together?
Well, joyriding, going to museums, just normal stuff that people do when they first encounter each other.
So it was dates.
Kind of, sort of.
You took her to museums, right?
Yes.
Where were those museums at?
I think in Grand Rapids.
Did you go to dinner?
I can't know.
Take her to lunch?
No, not really.
No? You guys just went places together and joyriding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of awkward because I wasn't comfortable.
Why were you not comfortable?
I'm not into married women.
But yet you were still interested, right?
No, not really. She was just popping up. She was just there.
And you went on dates with her.
Yeah.
And so, at some point, did your relationship turn physical?
Yes.
And when did that start turning physical?
I say maybe into Well, she stalked me for a couple of months. I'd say maybe about a month and a half. It was kind of weird.
About a month and a half into spending time together?
Yeah.
How often were you spending time together?
I can't really say because we worked together and she would show up after work. So I'd say maybe a couple times a week or something like that.
And would that be times, a couple of times you'd see her outside of work?
Yes,
And then you'd see each other probably almost every day at work?
at work.
Okay. And when you would see each other after work, did you continue to talk about her marriage?
No, not on the regular. It was kind of weird. There wasn't much of conversation. Well, actually, it was all over the place.
So you didn't really talk too much about her marriage at that time?
And no,
Did she ever tell you she had left him or got divorced?
no.
So was she still with him? Did you know?
Yes, she was still with him.
And when your relationship turned physical, you started having sex, correct?
Yes,
And where would you typically have sex with her?
at my house,
At your house? And you don't have to tell me your address, but what town did you live in?
Kalamazoo.
And did you continue to communicate with her regularly?
Yes,
How many times a week would you get together and have sex?
yeah, it wasn't really all about sex, but maybe a couple
Couple times you had sex, or a couple times a week?
times a week.
Were you aware if she had more than one phone?
No.
No? You just had one phone number that you talked to her on?
Well, yes. Well, that she would talk to me on. She called me when I called her.
Were you afraid her husband would find out?
Yes.
Did you ever talk about that?
Well, yes and no.
What do you mean yes and no?
I was trying to figure out what was her motive with dealing with me.
To be with you?
What was her motive? I mean, why would you want to be with someone and you're married?
Did she ever tell you why she wanted to be with you?
No.
But she still kept calling, right?
She kept showing up.
She kept coming to your house.
Yes.
Was there any time that she talked to you about Todd coming to her place of work?
No.
No? So you were never informed of him showing up at work unexpectedly?
No.
Did she talk to you about having plans of leaving him?
Yes.
So at that time, did you still think she was thinking she was going to leave him?
Yes.
How long were you guys together before the fire?
Well, we wasn't really together, but we was dealing with each other probably six months.
About 6 months before the fire?
Yes.
And at some point, did you become aware of what had happened with the fire?
I was watching the news on the Sunday.
So she didn't tell you about it? You saw it on the news?
Yes.
And then did you ask her about it?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say?
She told me briefly how it started.
What'd she say?
She said she was in the downstairs laundry room doing laundry, and they was arguing back and forth, and she heard a change in the tone of her voice, in his voice, and she ran upstairs to go see about him, and then upstairs was engulfed in flames. So she left and got in the van and go get help.
Did she tell you anything else?
Nope.
Did she tell you if Todd made it out of the house?
Nope.
How long did you continue to have a relationship with Ms. Stermer after that fire occurred?
I do believe it ended before Christmas.
So if this fire happened in January 7th of '07, are you talking about the Christmas after?
No, I'm sorry. It was up until the Friday before the fire, I remember.
Your relationship ended the Friday before
No,
the fire?
it didn't end. She was at my house the Friday before the fire.
So she was at your house that Friday?
Yes.
How long then did you continue to spend time together after the fire?
Maybe a month or so.
At some point the relationship ended?
Yes.
Did you end it?
Her lawyer.
Oh,
the
sorry,
guy-
I'm going to stop you there. So was it more of a mutual ending?
No, it was more or less her lawyer told us we should not be seeing each other. Or she shouldn't be seeing me.
That's what she told you?
Yes.
Okay. And was there, when you were looking back at the days prior to the fire and your time spent with Ms. Stermer, was there anything that she told you about any sort of arguments that happened between her and her husband?
No.
Was there any conversation about a truck?
It was a conversation about a Blazer thing or something.
Okay.
I've never seen any vehicle that they own or had other than the black Blazer and the van.
Did she ever talk to you about a vehicle that Todd sold?
It was a vehicle that he traded in on the van.
And then did she tell you how she felt about him trading that in?
She was upset.
And when was this in relation to the fire?
I can't remember when she told me, but that Friday she left my house, she was pretty upset.
She was upset? And what, she was upset about this truck?
I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't a normal visit like it normally would be.
What made it not like a normal visit?
She was upset.
And when you say she was upset, what was she doing?
Well, I guess it's about the van, the truck that he traded in without her permission.
Was she angry?
Yes.
Was that a different emotion that you had seen from her?
I'd never seen that side of her before.
You never saw that side of her before?
Never.
So the Friday before the fire, you saw a different side of her.
Yes.
And you would describe it as,
Angry, upset, however.
so through this time frame of 6 to 8 months, you had seen Linda Stermer without any clothes on, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever see any marks or
No.
anything on her? Any bruises or
No.
black eyes, cuts?
No.
Nothing.
No.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Tullis?
Mr. Williams, you stated that you were employed at, or are you still employed at ChemLink? Is that the name of the company?
No, I'm not.
Okay. But in reference to the matter that you testified on direct, you were employed at ChemLink?
Yes.
And where is ChemLink located at?
At the time, it was in Schoolcraft.
Beg your pardon?
At the time, it was in Schoolcraft, Michigan,
And how long had you been employed there?
since 2003.
Okay. And you stated you was a truck driver, right?
Yes, local.
And what shift did you work?
Day shift.
Day shift?
Yes.
Is that considered the first shift?
Yes.
Okay. You recall the time when Miss Stermer began working there?
When she started working there, we was in Kalamazoo.
Was where?
The company was small, and we had 2 or 3 different buildings. We stored the raw material in one building, and we made it in another, and I transported to shipping. My job was to transport materials back and forth.
So Ms. Stermer didn't work at the same location where you was a truck driver at, is that right?
Yes, she did. In one of the facilities, I said it was 3.
3 facilities on the
Yes.
same,
There's a storage where we stored the raw materials. My job was to transport the raw materials to the building, which we made it at, and then once it got packaged, I drove it to Ransom Street, which is on the north side, to be shipped out.
so which facility did Ms. Stermer work at?
The one on Factory Street, where they made the material.
And is it called a particular name?
It was part of Kimley.
Yeah.
The company grew, that's how we ended up moving out to Schoolcraft under one roof. So everything got transported out there
Okay. What shift did Ms. Stermer work?
first.
First shift? Are
It
you
was
sure?
only first shift when I was there.
So it's not a second shift?
No, not at that time.
You don't know exactly when Ms. Stermer started working there, though, right?
Not the exact date.
Well, what month? What year?
06.
What month?
Probably June, July, somewhere around that, summertime.
So if you're a truck driver and Ms. Stermer's working in a facility where she's working inside, is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
And was part of your job to be in the same building where Ms. Stermer was working?
Yes, when I was not transporting materials, I worked in the shop,
Okay. Doing what?
packaging.
And was she also packaging?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all work next to each other?
One particular day,
Just one day?
yes, side by side, yes.
Okay.
I was a truck driver, so I wasn't stationary.
Okay. And so after this one particular day, you stated that someone gave Ms. Stermer your telephone number?
Yes, I had a company phone at the time.
Who was that person that gave her your telephone number?
Mike Buchanan.
Mike who?
Buchanan.
Buchanan.
She tricked him into giving him, she asked him, well, what he told me,
Well, now I want to know what she told you. But you said that Mike Buchanan gave your telephone number to Ms. Stermer. Is that
yes,
correct?
because she asked him for
No,
it.
but you don't know that, but you, now, what month did you get a call from Ms. Stermer in reference to?
I can't say
You can't say,
what month.
okay? Did you ever go out to lunch with Ms. Stermer?
No,
Did you ever go on a break at the company facility on break?
no.
When was the first time that Ms. Stermer contacted you by phone? Do you know what month and year that was?
It was the same day that
The
we
same
worked-
day?
Same day we worked side by side.
So did you go home and then you get a
I
call
was
from
on
Ms.
my
Stermer?
way home.
And you got a call from Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you and her have a conversation while y'all was working side by side with each other?
Just that one day. Yes.
But y'all had a conversation?
Yes.
Did she have a conversation with you about her marriage at that day? On
Yes,
that day?
in general, yes.
Somebody you'd never seen before, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, you just start having a conversation. She's telling you about her marriage. Is that right?
We had seen each other, but we never worked side by side.
But I know. But this is the first time you say that you've had a conversation with her about.
Well, it's the first time I had a conversation. It wasn't the first time I'd seen her.
Yeah. But just this first day that you're working side by side with her, she tells you about problems with her marriage. Is that your testimony?
Not problems, but in general.
Did you ask her, was she married?
I knew she was married
How did you know that?
from co-workers. The
Well,
lady that got her hired.
So the lady that got her hired told you that she was married? Mm-hmm. Why would she tell you she was married?
Because I was physically, not physically, I was attracted to her.
You was physically attracted to her. Is that true?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So your testimony previously, direct, you stated that you didn't want to have anything to do with a married woman, right?
I did not, but that had nothing to do with being physical, attractive.
But what do you call physical?
Appearance.
So
She was a nice looking lady at
So
the
her
time.
physical appearance, in spite of the fact that you knew she was married, was something that you wanted to follow up on. Isn't
No.
that correct?
I just found her physically attractive.
Okay. And so actually, the lady that got her hired was the person that actually got you connected to Miss Stermer. Isn't that true?
No.
That's how you got the information about her being married.
She didn't have it, got us connected.
But you had no other information about her until you got that information from the person that hired her, right?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, well, you stated that you knew that she was married because of the lady that got her hired.
Right? Once I found it out, I was no longer interested.
Oh, after you found out that she was married, you wasn't interested,
No.
but you were still physically attracted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, how long did Ms. Stermer work at Kimlink?
I don't know.
You don't know that?
No.
Well, were you still working there
When?
when the incident in reference to her house fire? Were you still working at Kimlink?
Yes.
Was she still working at Kimlink?
Yes.
And did she continue to work at Kimlink after the fire?
Yes.
For how long?
I'm not sure. I was in a car accident in February of the 2nd.
You was in where?
A real bad car accident in February.
A real bad car accident?
Yes, I got rear-ended on my way to work.
Okay. So you was away from the
Yes.
employment.
Yes.
Well, would you consider this contacts that you had with Miss Stermer? Were y'all having? Would you call it an affair?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did you say that the affair lasted?
About 6 months.
6 months. Can you give me the date range?
From June to
June of what year?
'06 until after January.
Until January?
Yes.
January, you know the first part of January?
Yes.
Was it before the house fire?
What question are you
The,
asking?
the end of the relationship or the affair, did it end before the house fire on January?
No.
January the 7th?
No.
When did it end?
Shortly after.
Week after?
Shortly after. I can't say it was a week. It was longer.
Can't say.
It was longer than a week.
Did you ask Ms. Stermer any details about the house fire?
Yes, I did.
Did you get any details?
Yes, I did.
What was the details you got?
She said that she was downstairs doing laundry, and they was arguing back and forth, and she heard a change in the tone of his voice, and she ran up to see what was going on with him, and upstairs was engulfed in flames.
And that was all?
That was all.
Okay. Now, after you had started this engagement, did you ever tell Ms. Stermer to stop coming to your house? If you say she came to your house, right?
Yes.
You ever tell her to stop coming to your house?
No, I did not.
Okay. And you never told us to stop calling you, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. And all at the same time, you knew that you were having some relationship with a married woman, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been married?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When were you divorced?
Yeah, I'm gonna object the relevance on that.
The relevance, Mr. Mueller?
Well, Judge, he made the statement about marital respect, and
I don't think those are facts, not an evidence.
I'll sustain the objection on relevance, Greg.
did you ever go any place with Miss Stermer overnight?
No.
You ever travel any place with Miss Stermer?
Not overnight.
Did you ever travel any place with Miss
Yes.
Stermer? Where?
To Grand Rapids, to the museums.
Just to walk through the museums?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
How many times you go to the museums in Grand Rapids?
Maybe once.
Any place else?
Not really, just joyriding.
Joyride. Okay. How often did you go joyriding?
And not often.
In your car or her car?
My car.
Did Ms. Stermer ever tell you that she was going to leave her husband?
Yes.
When did she tell you that?
Well, it wasn't working out. She was trying to leave. She wanted a divorce. Or they was getting a divorce.
But she didn't tell you any location as where she was leaving and going to, though, right?
No.
Okay. She never asked, could she come live with you either, did she?
No.
Okay. She never gave you any money, right?
No.
You never gave her any money, right?
No.
She ever talked about her finances to you?
No.
Okay. When were you first contacted by law enforcement in reference to this matter?
About 2.5 years after the incident.
2.5 years after. And who was the first person that contacted you?
I don't recall his name. It was 2 people.
Beg your pardon?
I don't recall their name. It was 2 people, a man and a woman.
Where did they contact you at?
I was living on the east side at that time, and they came to my home.
Well, you have to pardon me because I'm not familiar with the east side. Are you talking
East side of
about
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo?
Yes.
Okay, so they came to your house,
Yes.
and did you give an interview to this man and this woman that's from the law enforcement at your house?
I didn't have a choice, yes.
What you mean you didn't have a choice?
I was served with a first-degree premeditated murder subpoena
To do what?
to testify, to come to court.
So before you came to court and testified, you were interviewed by these two individuals?
Yes, they served me with the subpoena, and then they asked if they come into my home.
So you were served with a subpoena, and then you was interviewed on the same date, the same time, at your house, right?
Yes.
Were you afraid?
Yes.
What were you afraid of?
The unknown.
Okay. Did you know of any incident that involved a physical assault that occurred at Kim Link involving Ms. Stermer?
I don't think I was there. I was injured from a car accident, so I don't think I was there. I don't know if it was, we already asked him before or after. There was a lot of chaos constantly, so I don't know what time phrase are you referring to.
So you say there was a lot of chaos,
Yes.
but no chaos between you and Ms. Stermer. Is that
No.
what you're saying?
No.
It was chaos between who?
Her and Kate.
Her and who?
Kate, her friend.
Would that be Kate Fox?
Yes.
And you knew her?
I knew of her as a coworker. I didn't know her.
Did you work with her also?
I didn't work with her. We worked at the same place. Same company, I should say.
Is she the person that got Ms. Stermer the job?
No.
Okay. So you didn't witness any physical assault. You just heard about some chaos. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you provided any type of statements that anyone else had made in reference to Ms. Stermer when you were interviewed by the officers at your home?
It wasn't that type of interview.
What kind of interview was it?
It was about phone calls,
Okay, and that's all?
pretty much.
They did ask you about how the fire started, right?
No.
They didn't ask you if she told you about the fire?
No.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Have you seen any of the interview that you gave to those officers that day?
No.
You've never seen the interview?
It was in my home. I didn't know it was an interview.
So prior to your testimony in any previous court hearings, you didn't have an opportunity to see the interview that you gave?
I don't understand your question, sir. Are you asking me, was I in court before on this case?
Have you been in court before this case?
Yes.
May I approach you? part of the statement. Did you read that and see if you remember that statement?
It's pretty much what I've already said.
No. I didn't ask you this. So my question is, when I asked, did you remember the interview? And the investigating officer asked Chris Williams if he had asked Linda how the fire had started, to which he stated that he had asked her if she had killed Todd Stermer.
I do not remember that.
You don't remember that?
Not those questions, no.
And to which he stated she had almost immediately become emotional.
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object this point. He doesn't remember, so if
That's why I gave you this.
Well,
he needs to ask if it refreshed his memory and then ask those
I
questions.
just-
I would give it back to him. Sir, see if a review of it again will refresh your memory.
Are you talking about the interview at my home? I'm confused.
I don't know if they interviewed you someplace else or not.
I don't remember him asking me anything about her killing him.
You don't remember him asking you that?
Her killing, all right.
Thank you. Enough. Could I have just a second, Judge?
I just have a quick clarifying, it'll be fast. Is it fair to say that that first day you were working on the line together, you guys were flirting?
Who's what?
Was it fair to say on that first day on the line that you worked side by side, you guys were flirting?
Yes.
And that's when she started calling you right away after she got your number?
Yes.
And you were asked by the defense attorney if you guys hung out at breaks together, if you had meals together at lunch while you were at work, and your answer was no. Is that
No.
correct?
Yes.
Were you worried about hanging out with a married woman at work?
Yes. We wasn't hanging out at work because no one knew.
So it was a secret.
Yes.
You said most of the time you were riding around, joyriding, or going maybe to Grand Rapids one time. So over the 6 to 8 months, is it fair to say that most of the time you guys were at your house?
Yes.
And that's where you guys were having sex?
Yes.
And you were single?
Yes.
You weren't married?
No.
Do you want to be here today?
No.
You want to be talking about this?
I don't have a problem with it.
You want to be talking about having sex with the defendant?
No.
Is it easy?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Further questions?
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, jury, any questions of him? I've got one, I think. I have some questions from the jury, sir. Were you ever at the Todd Stermer residence or property, and if so, when?
Was I ever? Oh, yes, long after the fire.
After the fire?
Yes.
Okay. How many interviews did you have with law enforcement?
One, when they came to my home that day.
Okay, thank you. Counsel, any questions in light of the questions and answers?
I don't have any questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Williams, why would you be at the home that had burned down?
I don't know, that's a good question. We were just out one day, and she decided to take me there.
She decided to take you.
To the location, there was no house, it was just concrete, everything was cleared. It was long after.
How long after?
I don't know, sir.
Well, you stated that this relationship ended sometime after the first 2 weeks of January, in January. So
Yes.
was it in January?
It was in
Of
the summer.
2007?
It was in the summertime. It was long after.
So was it,
We were not in relationships, and we're not in a relationship. We kept in communication. We were still communicating right before the officer came to my home.
but
Two and
not,
2.5 years later.
but not in any type of physical relationship, right?
No. It was all over.
And did you ever call just to check on her to see how she was doing from the loss of her husband in the fire?
No.
Sometime way after the burning of the house, you went out to see the property.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe a year and a half later,
Yes.
maybe 2 years later.
Maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Did she call you and want to take you out there?
I don't know exactly how it happened, but it happened.
And so you went with her out to that property?
Yes.
I have no further questions.